Welcome everybody, and thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is The Other James. If you don't know who I am, well, welcome to the show. Oh, thank you everybody so much for being here. I am so excited to see who we've got in the chat, and oh my gosh, my wife just got home. Hello, my darling. Mwah. Hello. Did you get what you needed? What was your question?
Yep, also, I was like, yeah, you're talking this time. I was gonna do a Walmart gift card anymore.
I do, yes, I do. Let me hand that to you so that we don't forget it next time. She just went shopping, but I had the gift card we needed. Here you go, love.
You know that thing that you love? You'll find others geeking out about it
All
on
right.
Facebook.
Well, thank you everybody so much for being here. We're gonna jump right in. I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. We have Juggling Planets here. Juggling Planets, if you guys don't know. OG Snowy said, yo, my free therapy session is here. Hi, James. Hello, Snowy. I'm so happy to see you, and thank you for your kind words. Juggling Planets is also here in the chat. For anybody who doesn't know what's happening tonight, we are going through story submissions that different people have submitted for me to react and edit to. We've got Juggling Planets here in the chat, and he is one of our featured authors that we will be reacting to today. So everybody go ahead and give a round of applause for Juggling Planets in the chat. Then, of course, we got Snowy, who's jumped in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Jay is here. Thank you so much. We also have, let's see, Doughboy is here. He said, "Yo, there's another planet." It's true. We have Snowy Planet and we have Juggling Planets here. Yeah, both, and both of you. I think both of you are in the Discord server. A Snowy Planet, which, I think you're in the Discord server if I remember correctly. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I think you are. Oh my gosh, I need to look this up right now. Give me just a second. I could have sworn you are, right? This stream features James just losing his mind. Okay, hold on. Snowy. No, you aren't. Oh my gosh, I thought you were. Well, if you have Discord, join the link in the description to join the Discord community. Well, welcome everybody tonight. Hello, my love. Let's kiss on stream. Mwah. Mwah.
Would you like to try some?
Would I like to try some of your electrolyte water? I would love to try some electrolyte water.
It's
Sponsored by Blue Electrolyte Water. No, I'm just kidding.
blue flavor.
Ooh, that is pretty good. Thank you very much.
If you want some, I got a pack that's like 30.
Well, you know what I realized? I don't have my W drink here. I haven't filled it up yet. No, it's in the other room. Would you be so kind, my love, to grab that for me?
No. Would you like
Thank
just
you.
water or electrolyte drink? There are a couple flavors.
Surprise me.
Surprise!
Yeah, surprise me with which flavor. If you guys don't know, we are sponsored by W Energy Drinks, and you can see the advertisement popping up on the lower area of the long form stream right now. You can use code TheOtherJames to get 10% off of all W products on their online store, and that will support me as a creator. So thank you very much for everybody who has done that so far. Juggling Planet saying, please no rush getting into my story. Go through other fan stories first. I look forward to listening to everyone's original tales. Doughboy's in the chat. Doughboy has, I've had the pleasure of knowing Doughboy on Discord, and Doughboy is coming in the chat saying he's been through a lot, and I do know that that is true. So I'm very glad that you're here, and I hope that we lighten your day a little bit, Doughboy. So, if you guys are new here, we are going to be going over, wow, that really washes out my face. Goodness. We're going to be going over story submissions today. So, Snowy saying, thank you for streaming today. I needed this. Aw, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad to be here. And if you guys remember, while we have an itinerary for each and every stream that I do, and today we're going over writing and editing and fun stuff like that, my streams will always be open for free advice. That's what they are at their heart. That's what they originally were. We are free advice streams. So at any point you can come into the chat. It might take me a minute to see your message, but I will respond to requests for advice, or if any of you just need comfort tonight, we're here to support each other. So please let us know in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. I think I am going to start with Juggling Planets production here. Before I do, Juggling Planets, your full name, your first and last name is here on this document. So before I stream it, would you like me to censor that for you before I put it on the internet? Because I don't know if your first and last name is public information. I will wait for you to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down in chat, and I can censor your name for you before we do that. I have 2 stories that were submitted to me. 2 stories that were submitted to me for this stream, and 1 extra one that is from my little sister that we need to revisit. And if you've been here on the previous writing stream, you know what I'm talking about. And so you should be excited for that. I'm not. I'm just kidding. Juggling Planet says, please censor it if that's cool with you. Of course, that is why I asked. Let me go ahead. I'm going to... Oh, no, not that. Oh my gosh, you jump scared me so much right there.
Sorry.
I'm going to go on to... Okay. Juggling Planets, I don't... Oh, thank you so much, baby. I'm behind on everything. Juggling Planets, I do not have edit access. I only have suggesting access. So if you just want to jump on and cover that up, you can highlight it with black, or you can go to... Or you can just delete it real quick. Totally up to you. Clanker is here in chat. Let's freaking go. Hello, Clanker. Welcome, Clanker. Oh, that is some good flavoring. Once again, sponsored by W Energy Drinks. You can see it. You can see it right here. They got a pretty cool... I mean, genuinely, guys, look at that design. That's so freaking cool. If you want a water bottle like that, just use my code and get 10% off down in the description below.
They're pretty good water bottles. I couldn't open it.
My wife can testify. It was difficult for her to open it, which means it's like zero leaking. I have not ever had this bottle leak on me.
I realized, I was like, oh shoot, this is one of those bottles that looks like they're gonna leak, and I need to shake up your drink mix, and it was fine.
The chat just let me know that you also jump scared a couple of them with your cough. Well, it was also like right here next to the microphone. I didn't know you were behind me either. Snowy's asking, is she okay? Yes. Last stream she was coughing too. I know that doesn't say that she's okay. It just means this is normal. She is in the background, just in bed, because she's been sick for a little bit. Sam the Hat Guy is here in chat. Hello, Sam. Clanker coming in. Can you give me some pop punk lyrics? We're writing songs for a demo, and I can't think of lyrics right now, and I will give you writing credit. Huh. Very interesting. Clanker, you can absolutely message me, and I would love to give some lyric advice. In fact, maybe after we're done, maybe as a break, because I already have committed to do writing with a couple of people's submissions that they've sent to me tonight. Maybe as a break in between them or after them, we can even do an impromptu lyric brainstorming session right here on stream. That would be so much fun. Snowy saying, yes, I've not been great on the mend though. Oh, I'm glad. Yes, I'm very glad. Good to hear. Juggling saying, I'm on the document, want me to take care of the censoring. Yes, please. Go ahead and just get rid of that. Or cover it with black highlighter, whatever it is that you want to do on the document. And then as soon as that's taken care of, I will go ahead and start reacting.
What do you want to guess what flavor the drink is?
Do you want me to guess what flavor the drink is?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Berries.
Not quite.
Is nothing berry in here?
Well, it might be, but that's not what the flavor is.
No, but I'm guessing. I'm like, there's definitely like a berry in there. Is there a blueberry?
I think maybe, but like.
Well, I made my guess.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Ice pop.
Ice pop flavor.
It has like the red, white, and blue.
Okay, I can taste it. Yeah. There we go. All set. Go meet Tabitha Soren Sherbet. I don't know how to pronounce that word. That's not your fault. It's not nobody else's fault. Sherbet. Sherbet. Is it sherbet or sherbet or sorbet or sherbet? I've never been able to pronounce that word. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna read Juggling Planets, his story. So let's go ahead and move on over to our content tab. Thank you everybody so much again for being here. Okay. This story is called 9,000 Lives and Counting, which is definitely a good hook, by Juggling Planets 217. Chapter 1. Okay, let me check this. Okay, first thing. So first of all, before I even start reading, I want to talk about formatting. There's a few different areas of like expertise, a few different areas where people can improve in their writing. One of them is formatting. One of them is spelling, grammar, punctuation. Another is sentence structure and flow. And then the fourth one is, oh my gosh, I had it just now in my brain. Story content. So like what, like the actual like plot of the story and like the story content within. And then the 5 is just like the fifth thing that I would rate on like a scale of 1 to 5 stars. The fifth thing that I would rate is just overall, like the overall rating of how the story reads. Do I think it's enjoyable? Do I think it needs some work? Da da da, you know. So the first note that I have is a formatting note. Now, right here, you guys might know, if you're watching on stream, you might know exactly what I'm about to say. Right here, you have indented your paragraphs by adding spaces. Now, if you are writing this on mobile Google Docs does not allow for tab indenting, which is really silly and an oversight on Google's part. But if you are writing on computer, you can press the tab key to indent properly. And if you'd like, I can go through and just indent all of your... Oh, 50 pages. Dang. Okay, I'm not going to do that for you. Sorry. But we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to make that note right there. I'm going to add a comment. Indent with the tab key. And that is the first formatting thing. Other than that, your paragraphs that I'm looking at as I scroll down seem to be perfectly split. No paragraph is so giant that I dread reading it. And I can see that you create a new line every time there's a new speaker, at least for the most, like from what I can see just scrolling through. So good points there. Formatting so far, no notes except for the indenting. So let's go ahead and let's start reading. Okay, well, let me check the chat first. Okay, sherbet, as in orange sherbet from Friendlies. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Snowy saying, I'm playing for a virtual reality football team, and I keep pulling my muscles. It's so dang annoying. Think there's a break from the games, though. Oh, okay. Sam says, I did not know that exists, and neither did I, actually. Okay. Let's start reading. Just who are these enchanted kittens named Tabitha, Soren, and Sherbet? I'm going to say I'm going to look this up real quick, actually. How to pronounce Sherbet. Sherbet. Okay, hold on. How do I... Sherbet. Okay, it's saying Sherbet, so I'm going to keep calling it that. Okay. Just who are these enchanted kittens named Tabitha, Soren, and Sherbet? And where exactly did they come from? These 3 kittens were not born from life itself, but from the night sky among the stars. They were conceived by a great star feline creature named Madame Beast, a magical constellation that astronomers and scientists look to for good omens. All right. Solid introduction. No immediate notes. I think it's an interesting hook. This isn't my style of writing, but I'm not here to tell you to write like me. So if this is your style of writing and you're going to commit to this, go for it. I think I've said before, you know, be careful about info dumping instead of storytelling, right? Show, don't tell. And if I were to suggest anything, maybe I would start with showing instead of telling. However, for now, the way that you have told it, even if you are telling instead of showing, the way that you have told it, so far so good. I'm intrigued. Let's keep reading. Because of Madame Beast's extraordinary care, the Star Kitten Trio were each granted 9,000 lives for endurance. Wow. That is significantly more than just 9. And believe it or not, they've already used 76 of them. Okay. One thing here. Okay, so I'm going to make a note about tenses, as in past, present, future tense. So, because of Madame Beast's extraordinary care, the Star Kitten Trio were each granted 9,000 lives for endurance. That is written in the past tense. And believe it or not, they've already used 76 of them. And that is in present tense. And I'm not a fan of switching tenses, but technically when you started, it says, just who are these enchanted kittens? And where exactly did they come from? And that's kind of like a in-between past and present. But I'd be careful about, you know, if your narrative style is like you're actually telling a story and speaking straight to the audience and breaking the fourth wall a little bit, then, you know, commit to that. That's fine. You can do that. There's plenty of authors that do. But I would be careful about switching tenses while doing that, because that's an easy thing to do, and I feel like there's ways that you can format it where you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's see. Let's check in the chat. Do not be tempted to read all the 50 pages I've written so far. I want a chance to hear more people's stories. No worries. Yeah, I won't be reading all 50 pages, but I will read like a decent amount of each person's. The other person that has submitted a story for review, it looks like their story is complete, so I won't be reviewing their whole story, but I'll be reviewing some of it. Okay. They have wandered across. Yeah, so this is where I would say like they had wandered instead of they have wandered, just because it sounds more past tense instead of present tense. You know what? I'm not even going to make that suggestion, because I guess it's kind of up to you to decide if you're going to write in past or present. Personally, my recommendation for every writer ever will be to write in the past tense. But as we're going to see in one of the upcoming stories, not everybody does that, and that's okay. They have wandered across the world through countless generations, from ancient Egypt to the Gilded Age, from the Great Depression to the Summer of Love. Call me uneducated, but what's the Summer of Love? If I can even... Summer of Love was a famous 1967 social phenomenon. Oh, okay, I got it. I know what that is. Tabitha, for example, was once treated as a goddess in ancient Egypt, where she was offered flowers, fish, and even gold. Thanks to the kitten's sophisticated magic, she managed to avoid being mummified. As a token of her time as a goddess, she was given a blue cloak as a symbol of her persistence. Okay. I'm noticing something here that I'm kind of like, I'm not sure of. It says she was given a cloak as a symbol of her persistence. She was also given the 9,000 lives for endurance. And these are like cool words to be using. I just worry that they might not have meaning. I want you to be careful if you're... I'm going to write this down. I want you to be careful that you're not using those words frivolously, in the sense where it's just like they seem like really important words, but if you use them too often, then they kind of lose their meaning. They're kind of watered down, and my brain wants to like latch onto that and be like, oh, is this story going to have a theme, overarching theme about endurance or persistence? Which, if it does, keep this. That's amazing. But just, you know, be careful that you're not using it just because it sounds cool. I would say find a reason behind it if you don't already have one. The fact that you've listed endurance and persistence, you know, I have yet to see either from the kittens. I mean, we're only like 3 paragraphs in, so that's fine. But I hope that because you've put these words here, that there will be an overarching theme where we get to actually see examples of endurance and persistence from these kittens in the story. So I'm actually not going to write anything there because I just said it out loud and I know you're here on stream. Soren witnessed the... I don't know French. Soren witnessed the Belle Époque of Paris during the 1890s, strolling along the sidewalk cafes of the Champs-Élysées and admiring the glamorous fashions worn by the women of the city. He also experienced the vibrant nightlife and impressionist atmosphere of the Moulin Rouge, where he met and fell in love with Astrid, a graceful female kitten who belonged to one of the dancers at the cabaret. All right, I just want to give you some props real quick. I almost called you by your first name because I know your first name, so if I do at any point in the stream, I really apologize. I'm going to try my best not to. But I want to commend you right here. I have yet to see in any of these fancy paragraphs a word repeated, like Well done. You are using such colorful vocabulary, and it's not repetitive. Every single word, every single sentence sounds like liquid gold. I have to be completely honest with you. This is beautiful. This is wonderful. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. Sherbet experienced the swinging London days of 1966. Okay, question here. Is swinging supposed to be capitalized? Because I don't actually know if it is. I'm just going to add that there. I'm not going to make the suggestion because I don't know if the period of time is called swinging London, or if you're using swinging as just an adjective for London. Because if you're using swinging as just an adjective for London days, then it should be, it should not be capitalized. It should be lowercase. But if the time period is actually called swinging London, then yeah, keep it capitalized. Excuse me. Of 1966, taking in the girls' colorful, eye-catching fashion statements. Okay, actually, that's my first thing there. And I just said that I hadn't seen anything repeated. Okay, I'm just making a note here that Soren admired the glamorous fashions worn by the women of the city, and then Sherbet took in the girls' colorful, eye-catching fashion statements, and it feels slightly redundant from the previous kitten. So I'd, you know, I would just consider if there's a different detail you can add, or if you want to state that both of them specifically notice the women's fashion of the different time periods that they're in. I would say draw a difference between them. I would say add, you're talking about Soren admired the glamorous fashions worn by the women of the city, and Sherbet experienced the swinging London days of 1966. And in contrast to Soren's experience, found himself surrounded by, and then describe what makes the 1966 style of women's clothing vastly different from the fancy French 1890s fashion. Right? That's what I would suggest. And hanging around with teenage boys sporting long Beatles-style haircuts. He danced to the great music of artists who are now considered legends. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Herman's Hermits. Forgive me, I don't actually know Herman's Hermits. I know the other two, but it was during this time that he discovered his deep love for London's charm and traditions. I would say small thing here. I don't think, well, here, actually, I would say it was during this time that he discovered his deep love for London's charms and traditions. I already know that it's what you're talking about is during this time. You already said, during the swinging London days of 1966. So you don't have to repeat. It was during this time that he discovered his love for it. It'd just be delete that whole thing and just say, he discovered a deep love for London's charm and traditions. And then that feels like a solid conclusion to the paragraph. Let's check the chat real quick. Alrighty. I agree. Had sounds reasonable. Wow, we having a free English lesson and I'm actually enjoying it. Oh, thank you so much, Snowy. I'm glad it's entertaining. I'm glad you enjoy it. Snowy, this is what I called constructive criticism, my friend. Juggling said, Snowy, no, you weren't rude at all. No. Don't worry, no. I think Juggling Planets was just agreeing with you. The era was known as Swinging London. Okay, in that case, yeah, keep it capitalized. Juggling Planets, you were awesome, makes my reviewing of my story even better. All right, perfect. Okay, let's keep going. As for the Three Kittens home...
Sorry.
No, you're okay. I didn't pause because you coughed. I was processing what I read. As for the Three Kittens home, they lived in Applewood Gardens. I like that name. Can I just say I like that name? where they were adopted by Carrie, the wonderful witch, and her husband, Daniel the fantastic wizard. All right. Hold on. Carrie. Carrie's a unique name. I like that. And Daniel the fantastic wizard. Now, here goes my question. Are they capitalized because these are like official titles that they have? Which in that case, it's very Roald Dahl of you, and I love that. Or are these just like whimsical descriptive words? Because if they're just whimsical descriptive words, they don't need to be capitalized. But also, in the style of what I've seen so far of your writing, totally fine if they're capitalized. These two were chosen by Madame Beast to look after the kittens because of their good work for the kingdom. Their well-mannered personalities. Kingdom? What kingdom? Wait, what? Is Applewood Gardens a kingdom? Or are the stars a kingdom? Okay. I'm just gonna put that there for you. What kingdom is this referring to? Is Applewood Gardens a kingdom, or is there like a kingdom of the stars? Their well-mannered personalities and their close friendship with the king and queen of the gardens. Oh, never mind. I just have to keep reading. I got the answer. Okay, the king and the queen of the gardens. Is that Carrie and Daniel? Are they the king and queen? I guess we'll see. Carrie and Daniel, who knew Madame Beast very well, made a solemn promise to care for Tabitha, Soren, and Sherbet with all the love in the universe. But where our story truly begins is in a more modern setting. I think... Okay, here's a bit of constructive criticism I have. I think that sentence is, like, completely unnecessary because what this reads like is like, now I'm going to tell you where the story starts. The story starts in a small town in New England, and I'm like, wait, but you didn't have to say the first sentence. You could have just said, the story, our story truly begins in the small town, our story truly begins in a small town in New England called Red Oak Springs. Or you could, if you want to keep the three kittens were sent to a small town. Our story truly begins when the three kittens were sent to a small town in New England. So let's do this. All our story truly begins when, and then you tell us when. Instead of, it was in a more modern setting. And then you begin to tell us when and where exactly it was. I didn't need you to tell me it was modern because you're about to tell me that anyway. Our story truly begins when the three kittens were sent to a small town in New England called Red Oak Springs, Massachusetts, during the Christmas break of 2013. Their mission was to recruit two worthy humans to help save the famous stories of the gardens from being erased from existence. Like the world we live in, Applewood Gardens was known for its original tales and folklore, but now a threatening force was casting darkness over the gardens as the stories began to vanish. Okay. Huh. All right. Okay. So remember how I was saying show, don't tell. First of all, this whole... I'm gonna highlight it all right here. This whole section right here. Everything from the beginning until, like, our story actually begins here. Right? All of this is a great synopsis, like a great hook, a great selling point that I don't necessarily know if you need in your story. Personally, if I was writing this, I would start the story right here. As the snow drifted softly through the winter hush of the New England town, the three enchanted kittens appeared through a glowing blue light. Ooh, that's gold, bro. That's gold. That's a solid hook that is showing, not telling, right? Everything before that, that is your info dump. That is your prologue of information. That is the scrolling Star Wars text at the beginning of every Star Wars episode, right? So my suggestion is keep this, tuck it away in a separate document where you can keep it, or even if you're using Google Docs, add a tab and put it in there, because this is a solid, like, synopsis or script for advertising the book and being like, aha, look, this is the background. And I would love to see the story as it's happening. Like as soon as we start with the snow drifted softly through the winter hush of the New England town, as the three enchanted kittens appeared through glowing blue light. Would love to hear the story start there. And all of the information that you get in basically the Star Wars scrolling text, I would love to learn that as the reader, as the story goes on, and as the characters talk about it out loud. Or we see them return to their home, Applewood Acres, or Applewood Gardens, or whatever it is, right? That's the difference between show versus tell, right? So my biggest suggestion here, the boldest one I might say, is to cut this whole beginning part and keep it tucked away somewhere else, because you can absolutely use this, and you should. Just more of like on the back of the book or on the inside cover, or like on like the IMDb summary of your book, right? Things like that. Or on like the wiki of your book, you know. That's what I would keep that for. But my boldest suggestion would be to delete that whole thing. Sorry, not delete. Cut that whole thing and keep it safe somewhere else to use it for other purposes. I'm going to continue reading from right here as if this is the start of the story, because I think this would be an amazing place to begin. But I'll pause real quick and I'll catch up with the chat. Snowy saying, "Are you sure your wife's okay?" Besides the coughing, yes, she's okay. The coughing has lasted a while, unfortunately, but she's taken all the medicine. She's got her electrolyte juices. Okay. Juggling planets. You'll meet the king and queen later. I'm gonna go watch a film, might tune in later. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for coming, Snowy. Juggling Planet said liking it. No, loving it. Good advice. Consider it done. Awesome. Okay, let's start reading from here. As the snow drifted softly through the winter hush of the New England town, the three enchanted kittens appeared through a glowing blue light. Their small paws kissed the white snow. That's a solid line, bro. That's a banger. Their small paws kissed the white snow as they strolled along the sidewalks, searching for their soon-to-be heroes. Fire. Well, siblings, here we are, said Tabitha, her voice bright with certainty. Red Oak Springs, Massachusetts. How can you tell? Asked Sherbet, pouncing through the snow. Because, silly, left Soren. The welcome sign says Red Oak Springs, Massachusetts. Population, 1319. I didn't need to know the population. Okay, it's funny because I was about to say the same thing. I'm like, do they need to know the population? And then Sherbet said, I didn't need to know the population, Soren. So that's funny. Keep it, because there's a purpose to him saying that for a joke. Semantics, sighed Tabitha, shaking her head. Come on, let's go find our two heroes. Wait, said Soren. Where should we look first? Soren's right, sis. We have no idea where to go from here. Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and have a few suggestions. Well, siblings, here we are, said Tabitha. That's not bad, but, and it depends on what sibling dynamic you're going for. If these kittens really are just like, well, siblings, here we are, and it's like they're like they're cats that come from the stars and they're just very regal and airy and mythical, then sure, I could see her saying like, well, siblings, here we are. But that's not the vibe I'm getting from the rest of the dialogue. Because, silly, the welcome sign says Red Oak Springs, Massachusetts, population da-da-da-da. I didn't need to know the population, Soren. Right? That is funny and sounds like genuine sibling banter. And if you're playing these siblings as relatable siblings, I've never looked at my group of siblings and been like, well, siblings? No. Nobody says that. What was that? Unless ironically, but like, no, I haven't. I've never said that. Maybe somebody else has, but I would genuinely just say, right now, it reads like you've just added, well, siblings, here we are. It sounds like you've added that just to tell the reader that these three are siblings. But we're about to learn that when they refer to each other as sis, and like we can figure it out. We can figure out that they're, you know, siblings without you outright telling us. So I would say, well, here we are. Red Oak Springs, Massachusetts. Which, if you delete everything, if you cut everything before this, then this works because it's the first mention of the name of the town. We just know that it's a New England town, and then she says the name of the town. Awesome there. How can you tell? Because silly. Semantics. Come on, let's go find our two heroes. Okay. Here is something. You have soon-to-be heroes and our two heroes right next to each other. Don't know if you need to specify that twice. I would say choose to say that in the narration or in the dialogue. And did it say, what did it say? Two worthy humans. Okay, so not specifically children. Is it bad that I'm like throwing out a guess that it's going to be children that they find? Juggling said, that's a good point. And Sam said, well, sibling James, how are you? It's true. Sam the Hat Guy is my sibling-in-law. Okay. Wait, said Soren. Where should we look first? Oh, wait, there was one other thing. Okay, yes. I would be careful. So right here, you say, I didn't need to know the population, Soren, and then you don't specify the speaker. Now, that is something you can do all the time when there's only two people in the room. The problem with that is that there are three people here, and Tabitha, Sherbet, and Soren have each had one line each, and then the next line does not have a specified speaker. I can assume it's not Soren, especially because it's right after Soren and directed to Soren. And based off the structure, I assume it's Sherbet because Sherbet was the last speaker specified besides Soren. However, it does require my eyes to dart back a couple of lines in order to remind myself who is speaking. So that is not a bad thing to do. I would just save it for if there's a conversation happening between two characters for more than 3 or 4 lines. If it's the same two characters speaking back and forth for 3 or 4 lines, for 3 or 4 lines, any lines that come after that between just the two of them, you don't have to specify the speaker. But I would say each person needs to speak at least twice, which is why I say 3 or 4 lines, before you start nixing the name of the speaker from the end of the dialogue. Okay. Tabitha looked up at a sign for a cafe called the Novel Nook. That's a solid name too, I like that. The alliteration is nice. Decorated with a picture of a steaming coffee mug and an open storybook. Okay, your descriptions are wonderful, brother. Your descriptions are wonderful. Your you take just okay, let me explain. There's this sweet spot of descriptions. Oftentimes there's not enough description of what's happening on the page, right? But oftentimes people make the mistake of being overzealous with their descriptions, and they describe every little bit of something that's only going to get a few lines of page time. But your balance, ignore my voice crack, your balance of descriptions, you hit that sweet spot almost every single time with every line that you write. It's wonderful. Tabitha looked up at a sign for a cafe called the Novel Nook, decorated with a picture of a steaming coffee mug and an open storybook. And that's just wonderful. I could see it being like Tabitha noticed a for a cafe called the Novel Nook. And that's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But adding that it's decorated with a picture of a steaming coffee mug and an open storybook is like, That's sweet. That's cute. I can imagine that, right? But if you were to go further than that, if you were to say, Tabitha looked up at a sign for a cafe called the Novel Nook in Times New Roman font, decorated with a picture of a yellow steaming coffee mug and an open storybook with a blue cover and incomprehensible scrawled writing on the pages, printed on the wood as it hung from the creaking metal chain. Right, that's too much. That's too much, right? So this is my compliment to you, that pretty much all of the descriptions that I've read so far hit that perfect sweet spot. That's not too much, but not too little. And it's wonderful. Keep it up. Her little tail glowed as if a light bulb had flickered inside of her. Oh, interesting. Let's start here, she said. It's a coffee and book cafe. Maybe we'll find some people who believe in stories in there. Okay, solid. Good thinking, Tabitha, said Sherbet. Lucky for us, chuckled Soren. Pets are allowed in the building. Inside the Novel Nook, at least 24 people, along with their pet puppies and kittens, relaxed with cups of coffee, donuts, and good books. Okay, wait, actually. Okay, one small thing. At this point, I got my first question that I scrolled back and realized wasn't answered. So I'm going to add it right here. What time of day or night is it? Because I was imagining this as nighttime. Because, specifically just because it said the three enchanted kittens appeared through a glowing blue light. And I was imagining that, like, if I was seeing the scene in my head, that would be more visible if it's nighttime, right? It would be more visually contrasting. And so I imagined that it was night, but then I'm like, oh, wait a second. There's like a ton of people in this cafe, so is this morning time? And so I would like that specified. That was one thing that we didn't have specified earlier. At the corner window table sat two best friends, juniors at Robert Zemeckis High School. Okay. Okay. I have a few notes there, but let's check the chat real quick. Oh no, I didn't make you cry, did I? Late afternoon, I should have specified that, yes. Okay, so we'll know when you add that. Okay, so here's where the fourth wall gets broken a little bit. Okay, I'm reading ahead just a little bit. So, at the corner window sat two best friends, juniors, at Robert Zemeckis High School. Their names were Mark Foley and Diane Reese. That is a direct pitfall into telling. This completely breaks the fourth wall, and I was immersed and invested in the story. Still invested, but I was immersed in the story, seeing this play out before my eyes. And now I've been whiplashed out of it and like, whoa, oh, that's right, I'm reading words on a page. And you break the immersion when you pull out and you have the narrator breaking the fourth wall and immediately speaking to the audience, giving the audience information that the characters that we're in the perspective of don't know. The kittens, it says, inside the Novel Nook, at least 24 people, along with their pet puppies and kittens, relaxed with cups of coffee, donuts, and good books. And that's in the perspective of the kittens, because this is the kittens, like, seeing it for the first time. And then suddenly we whiplash over to, by the way, here's two best friends, one thing the kids don't know, that are juniors at Robert Zemeckis High School. Make that important later in the story, or don't bother mentioning it, I would say. Their names were Mark Foley and Diane Reese, and I'm like, the kids don't know any of that. So there's this disembodied voice, like it's a nature documentary telling me these things. I don't want to be told these things. And I saw your comment at the beginning of the video, and I think it's because there was a certain video of mine playing as like a trailer hyping up this stream. Where I talk about spoon feeding your audience and how you don't want to do that. I did see your comment that that you're thinking, oh no, like I didn't mean to do that. I hope I don't. WVE, welcome to the chat. Piano James, welcome to the chat. WVE said, bro, you are the most steak. I'm so glad to hear it. I don't know what that means. Piano James saying hi in the chat. Hello, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so I would say this is like the first big thing that I would be like, this is like the first thing I see that I don't like. Everything else I've loved, right? Even like the big huge info dump at the beginning, I've said don't delete it, just cut it, and I would say use it, like there's a different use for that sort of writing. This is the first thing I actively see that I kind of dislike. If you want, because it looks like this whole section right here is, it sounds like it's being told in the perspective of Mark and Diane. And if it's not, then I think we should meet these two, Mark and Diane, as the kittens meet them. As two strangers in the novel nook, reading books in the corner and talking to each other, right? If you want us to have all of the information before the kittens do, then I would say you would have to add a partition here. You'd have to add a section where you switch and commit to Mark and Diane's perspective. And we understand that we understand things about them through their minds and their knowledge, that would be my suggestion. Juggling said, you're right, their school is not important. Robert Zemeckis, by the way, was the director of Back to the Future trilogy, Roger Rabbit, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and Polar Express. That is pretty cool. And I do know Juggling Planets to be a lover of Easter eggs and references and love letters to different celebrities and creative minds. So I figured it was going to be something like that. But I will continue on. I'll continue on as normal. Mark leaned back in his chair as he read a rare gem by Stephen King called The Eyes of the Dragon. His brow furrowed with concentration as if he were searching for something between the lines. Diane, reading her worn copy of S.C. Hinton's The Outsiders, found herself thinking about how someone who believes in stories could change lives. I will say, this might be, and maybe it's because of the fact that we're technically still in the kitten's perspective, but I'm getting whiplash and being thrown into like the fourth person point of view. I will say that this is a bit odd of a line. It's very like just kind of, okay, I guess we're talking about this now. And it's definitely, I think we're definitely spoon feeding here a little bit, because it's like, okay, well now I know who the kittens are gonna try to recruit, because they happen to be thinking about the very thing that the kittens are looking for. And I feel like there's more illustrative and subtle ways to introduce these characters than this. So I would say rework the scene. My best piece of advice would be to rework the scene from the perspective of the kittens, where they don't know immediately what these children are reading, what they're thinking, who they are. I would say introduce, that's how you should introduce a character to us, the readers, right? That's what I would suggest. Whoa, said Mark deep in his book. What's up? Asked Diane, looking up from her book. I would say here, small little suggestion, you could say hers, looking up from hers, because they're parallel lines. Well, everyone assumes Stephen King only writes horror, said Mark, but Eyes of the Dragon is pure fantasy. There's this prince who escapes from a tower called the Needle, and he does it using threads from napkins. I don't know if you see where I'm going with this. I don't. I think I might, said Diane. Okay. In The Outsiders, the story keeps referencing Gone with the Wind because Ponyboy and Johnny see themselves in those old Southern heroes, even though they're just kids from the wrong side of town. That would explain why Francis Ford Coppola did homage shots of Gone with the Wind in his film version of The Outsiders, said Mark. Anyway, Ponyboy and Johnny were clinging to something noble the same way Prince Peter was in Eyes of the Dragon. Yeah, said Diane, taking a bite of her donut. Who knew it was like that? Okay, so apparently I haven't read any of these stories. But if anything, I would say the purpose of these 3 paragraphs of speech is not to inform me, the reader, about these books or these movies. But I think the purpose is just to illustrate Mark and Diane's similar train of thought, and not in a derogatory way, their nerdiness. Yeah, said Diane, taking a bite of her donut. Who knew it was like that? Probably because those stories are the way they get to win, said Tabitha as she and her siblings pounced onto Mark and Diane's table. Okay, here's a trope. Here's a trope that I see. It's a very common trope, and I think it's about 50-50 hit or miss. And the trope is talking animals, or creatures in general, suddenly speaking to humans in a normal world. So like Alvin and the Chipmunks, or Hop, or Sonic, or yeah, anything like that. And I would say that it is a trope that sometimes is necessary, right? But you want to be careful how you do it, because here it's starting at this point the story is starting to feel just kind of like a fever dream a little bit. I'm being pulled out of the immersion that I had at the beginning. I would say, once again, my biggest suggestion would be to rework this scene from the perspective of the kittens. I want to hear Tabitha, Soren, and Sherbet in either their dialogue or their thought process while they're watching these two and deciding, should we go up to them and talk to them? How should we do it? Be careful. You know, usually when we just like speak out loud to humans, sometimes they freak out. So like, how do we want to approach this? I would much prefer to get this whole scene from their perspective. After hearing Mark and Diane talking in depth about the stories, then I think the kittens, even if the kittens don't whisper to each other and discuss it, I would love to see Tabitha like making, or at least one of the 3 making the decision in their heads to approach or not, right? What made them walk right to these 2? Right? Why didn't they go check out anybody else? What drew them to that corner of the room? If everybody's there reading books, what drew them to these 2? You know, it's just the fact that there was 2 of them, or the fact that this is a story written with words on a page and this is how the plot should go, right? I want in-story reasons for these things to be happening. To those kittens, began Diane, startled. Speak, finished Sherbet. Indeed we did. Nice to meet you. Technically, she said, did those kittens, but only, what was her name? Tabitha. Only Tabitha spoke at this point, actually. So Diane didn't hear multiple kittens speak when she says this. Speak, finished Sherbet. Indeed we did. Nice to meet you. Where did you come from? Asked Mark. Yeah, this is where it's starting to feel a little bit like just kind of like a dream being written out. There's hardly enough. I feel like there's not hardly enough surprise or shock. I feel like this is might be my harshest piece of constructive criticism here, but so far what I'm seeing when I said that there's like a 50-50 hit or miss with the trope of talking animals revealing themselves to human, I think this one's a miss, the way that it's written so far. And I think it would benefit you to write from the kitten's point of view up to a certain point. Or not even that, no. I think it would benefit you to decide and commit, even if you switch between the kid's perspective and the children's perspective, every section of your writing should clearly be in one of their perspectives and not mixed, because the kittens have an entire different mentality and perspective of the situation than the children do. And I think it will read better, and the scene will flow better if you commit to the perspective of one of those parties. I would say, so that would be my suggestion for you. Try that writing exercise. Try that and see what the scene looks like when you do that. I think it might come across as more believable. It'll seem more natural as well. Not so scripted, like we're reading a script, you know. I'm going to continue a little bit longer before we switch to somebody else's story, but where did you come from? Asked Mark. We come from an enchanted kingdom where stories breathe and dreams take root, said Soren. Very Willy Wonka of you. I like it. Applewood Gardens, a place hidden in imagination itself. Mark and Diane exchanged a skeptical look. At this point, I would at least be rubbing my eyes and being like, I feel like I'm dreaming. Oh, okay, they do kind of say that. Said Diane, I think we've had enough coffee this afternoon. Obviously, our minds are playing tricks on us, agreed Mark. At this point, I would be wondering, like, yeah, I would say, I'd be more wondering, like, how are we, like, Diane, wait, you're seeing this too? Because group hallucinations don't happen that often. That would be my question. That would be the first clue that it is real. Mark being like, wait, Diane, you're seeing this too? No, said Tabitha, trying to calm them. You're not seeing or hearing things. This is really happening. Prove it, said Mark. The three kittens nodded to each other, closed their eyes, and swirled their glowing little tails, conjuring their magic. As they did, they hummed a soft, harmonious tune. Suddenly, the cafe felt invisible. Everything was perfectly still, and the entire room shifted into a shade of sky blue. Oh my gosh, whispered Diane. Well, that's proof enough, said Mark, now convinced. I don't know if it is. Let me be honest here. Because they're saying, like, oh, like, our eyes are playing tricks on us. We're seeing things, we're hearing things. Like, prove that it's real. So the cats decide to create an additional illusion. And honestly, it just convinces me even more that they're dreaming and that it's not real. If I was in this situation, I'd be like, prove that it's real. And they're like, look what we can do. Whoa. And then they change the whole scenery. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty dreamlike. That doesn't happen in real life. Sorry, I'm even more convinced that I'm dreaming. That's... So, yeah, I would say... Oh, these kittens are so cute, and I love the whimsy. I love the way you write description descriptively. Oh my gosh. I would say I would pause here, and this is where I would suggest. I mean, you have like 50 more pages, so like there's chapter 2. Well, should I finish chapter 1? We're like halfway through chapter 1. Well, let's see, what time is it? We've been streaming for an hour already, so I'll probably pause here. But that is my I'll pause here so I'm not like overwhelming you with notes. I hope that you've appreciated all of the positive feedback I've given. Here's some the constructive feedback I have is this. As far as formatting. Your formatting is 5 out of 5 stars. Formatting's amazing. Your sentence structure and flow, also amazing. Your sentence structure and flow is like I was saying, that's where like your descriptive words come in. Like, oh, just delicious. Definitely like 4 out of 5 stars. I think the only reason I don't give it a 5th star is because there are some things here that I'm seeing where I'm like, I don't think the dialogue of, well, no, sorry. Actually, no. That goes into a different category. Yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. So your formatting, your sentence structure and flow, all great. Your spelling, grammar, and punctuation, 4 out of 5 stars because of the mixed past and present tense. Especially because, now that we've read a little bit, let me point this out. This whole scene that's happening right here is written in past tense, which is what I approve of. That is what you should do. Because of that, we should not be switching to present tense during the beginning. Saying like, but right now, they're on this number of lives, and it's like, no, not right now. The story is in past tense. So say, what was that?
Sorry, the way you said right now. Right now, you can say.
Right now, nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday, and right now you could say. That is very funny. So I'd say 4 out of 5 stars for spelling, grammar, punctuation. Your spelling and your punctuation, awesome. Didn't see any problems with it. Even when I thought that there were capitalization errors, I was wrong actually. So amazing for you. The reason why I'm taking away 1 star, so it's 4 out of 5 stars for that, is because of some of the tense structures and inconsistencies early on. So just, fix those, rework those if you need to, and you'll be fine there. So I think the biggest point of improvement is story content. No, maybe not story content. The story content isn't what needs help. I think it's... I don't know. Yeah, maybe the story content. I would say the yeah, I think I'll put it into the category of story content. Not that you need to change what the story's about. I'm not saying that at all. Story content is a solid I would say like 3. Okay, I'm going to say 3 out of 5 stars. I'm taking 2 stars away simply because of what I suggest, where I'm like, I don't like that we keep breaking the fourth wall and telling instead of showing. Not a fan of that. I'm not a huge fan about how some of this dialogue is happening. Some of the things that the characters are saying don't make a whole lot of sense to me right now. I feel like you would benefit, like I said, I feel like you would benefit from choosing one of those parties, the children or the kittens, to write the scene in. And if you want, you could even write the same scene. Do this writing exercise if you want. Write the same scene in the perspective of the kittens and in the perspective of the children. And then you can take sections from each to build the story, or you can take the one you like most, or you can split it into sections of here's the kitten's perspective, and then we switch to the children's perspective for this part of the scene. Whatever you do, that's what I would suggest to make this flow better. So that's my overall. Overall, I would give this a solid 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. And I'm only saying I would rate it higher. Your technical writing is amazing. Dude, I'm so in love with it. I would say that we just need to tweak and adjust, and we need to readjust and shift our perspective on the scene in order to tell it in a way that doesn't sound like National Geographic saying, and now we watch the 2 children in their natural habitat in the corner of the bookstore. Right? We don't want that. We don't want that. So yeah, that's my overall amazing job. I am very impressed, and I would love to see where you go more with this. And so yeah, get back to me once you've made any changes, or if there's a specific spot that you want me to read in your story next, get back to me. Absolutely. Let's see. Rework the scene in the kitten's perspective. Better idea. Harsh or not a fan of it at all. After hearing all of your great criticism, you've inspired me to do a better revision of the story after this stream. Again, many thanks. Well, you are very welcome. That is my intention. I hope that that's what people get out of this. I hope that my constructive criticism, my edits, and my suggestions never discourage anybody from writing or trying, right? I hope that it inspires them to continue. And like, oh, now I think I might have to... I think I know what I can do next, right? I hope that it does inspire. And so I'm really happy to hear that's what it's done for you tonight. Clanker, welcome back. Juggling saying, I gotta go. Fan Expo's tomorrow. Your criticism is awesome. Bows. I bow to you. I bow to you, sir. Thank you once more for your time, and I hope to share a better version of the tale soon. Absolutely. How do I, so 10 out of 10, not too shabby. Thanks, dude. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful time at Fan Expo. Enjoy yourself, and we'll take a small intermission probably before we go to the next story that we're going to edit. But yes, thank you so much for being here, and we're so happy to have you here. Clinker, real quick before I go, Clinker asked, how do I message you videos? Don't let me interrupt you, though. I think YouTube now has a feature for that, and you also have my Discord, so you can message me through either of those. I think YouTube now has, like, a messaging feature where you can share videos straight, like, in the YouTube app or site. And so I think you can do that, but you can also send me stuff on Discord if you want, because you know my Discord. But yeah, let's take a quick intermission. When we come back, Clinker, if you would like, the other person whose story we are editing is not in the chat yet. We'll still edit their story even if they're not here, but once we come back from a small intermission where I just, I stand up and take a stretch, we can do some lyric reworking if you would like. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So hang in there, everybody. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you for being patient with us, with me. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna continue. We're gonna go ahead and start editing the next story. We're gonna jump on over to this story submitted by Elizabeth Duvenvoort, and she is published author. I own one of her books actually, and I have worked for her before. She has submitted projects to us before. During our sandwich prompt, if you will. And so we're gonna go through, and I'm going to offer some edits and suggestions for her writing. Before I do that, actually, let me real quick. I'm gonna message her on Discord just to let her know, hey, we're going over your story now. Over your story now. Awesome. And perfect. Alrighty. Let's get back to business. Okay. Strings of Second Chances, Elmore High, Book 1 by Elizabeth Duvenvoort. Alright, Chapter 1. Alright, so first thing, let's look at formatting. Formatting is good. I think, personally, for projects that are still being worked on or edited, I think you should do double spacing, double line spacing, or at least like 1.5. It's just easier to read, and it's kind of a rule. I don't think it's like super important that you like follow that rule, especially because documents don't naturally start out that way. But it's not so cramped. What was the other one? Yeah, see, this one has like wider lines. The paragraphs are close together, but in between each paragraph, the lines are spaced further, right? So that's what I would suggest. My first suggestion for formatting is to increase the line spacing if it's specific, if it's specifically being not reacted to, edited. If it's currently still in the editing process, it is even easier for you, the author, when going through, to spot misspelled words or errors in paragraph breaks if each character on the page gets a little more space around it. It's easier to spot mistakes or inconsistencies with bigger line spacing. The indents are wonderful. You got the indents, and all of that is solid. It looks like yeah, Elizabeth Duvenvoort knows the rules of new paragraph for every new speaker. I end up mentioning those because that's just one of the most common things that I see for like beginner writers, but Elizabeth Duvenvoort is not a beginner writer. Okay, first thing of the actual content. I lean against the cool metal of the portable. Wait, sorry, did I say that right? Am I having a stroke? I lean against the cool metal of the portable. No, I said that right. I think. Personal pet peeve of mine, and Elizabeth knows this, because I said the same thing with the last story of hers that I edited. I do not like. Okay, I can read first person point of view. For example, The Hunger Games. Awesome, amazing, love it. First person point of view is not a sin. It's just risky. And more power to you. I don't usually suggest it. I suggest third person point of view because one of the reasons, just because we were just talking about Juggling Planets book, we were talking about Tabitha, Soren, and Sherbet, and then what were their names? Mark and Diane. Two different groups of characters, right? Then you switch perspectives between them. If you write a book in first person point of view, you restrict yourself to just that person's perspective, and sometimes, depending on the story that you're writing, it is beneficial to be able to switch perspectives throughout. Not always, not always. Which means it's not a bad idea. You could make that choice to do first person point of view. I prefer to do third person, regardless of whether I'm switching perspectives or not. So I think, yeah. And then, it's a horse that I've beat to death before, and it's still dead. It's on the ground, and I'm beating it more. But the thing that I will pretty much always disagree with, sorry, Elizabeth, is present tense. I just don't do it. It just pains me to read a little bit. Just write in past tense. And I've done, on the previous stream where I edited her book, I said the same thing. I went on the same rant, and yeah, I even made a short clip out of it. So I won't beat that horse as well. But I'll just say, those are my 2 notes. She already knows. Those are my 2 notes. But we're going to continue reading without mentioning it. So, let's go ahead and start actually reading the content of the story. I lean against the cool metal of the portable. A chill hangs in the October air. I can't believe you made it in as VP for the student council, Hannah shrieks. Oh, shrieks. I can't believe you made it in as VP for the student council, Hannah shrieks. Opal flips her hair over her shoulder. I know, it's crazy. Oop, that's capitalized. Let's uncapitalize that. I know, it's crazy. They never let 11th graders on student council. Apparently my campaign was just that good. I'm going to be the best VP the school has ever seen. Okay, I like the style of dialogue. I'm going to tell you what, right here, Google says this is grammatically incorrect. It doesn't matter. It's dialogue, and characters speak imperfectly, just like we do. So when she says, I know, it's crazy, they never let 11th graders on student council. Technically, yeah, grammatically, it maybe should have a the there, but it works either way. And even if it was wrong, who cares? It's dialogue. If it makes sense for the character to talk that way, have the character talk that way. So, good notes there. I look between my 2 friends. Hannah's brown locks. Nah. I think she already... Anybody who knows... Okay. My wife, sitting behind me, probably knows exactly what I'm about to say. Wife, what am I about to say? Reread the sentence? I look between my 2 friends. Hannah's brown locks are pulled into 2 high pigtails, her pixie nose held high. Opal's green eyes are filled with a mix of determination and excitement. What am I about to say?
If they're your friends, you don't think of, oh man, their brown hair and eyes and...
Do not info dump me your character appearances unless it's a character who is being introduced to them, or they've changed something about their appearance, or their appearance has something to do with the scene. Do not info dump me your character appearances. Okay, maybe not even present tense is my biggest pet peeve, but this. And Elizabeth also knows that that's not something I like. It is very common. It is very common. And I don't like it. Don't do it. I don't need to know. I mean, if it has something to do with the story, or if Hannah is putting her brown hair into a ponytail, tell me that, because it's an action that she's performing in the scene. That's the least you can do. You can say, right? But unless you, as in you, the main character whose name I still don't know, that's another weakness of first person. I have no idea who the main character is right now. I don't know their name. She says, I look between my 2 friends. Hannah's brown locks are pulled into 2 high pigtails, her pixie nose held high. No. I do not sit chatting with my friends and just look at my friend and be like, man, his dark hair and his green eyes and his pursed lips. No, because that's gay. No, I'm not saying gay's bad. I'm joking. But then it just sounds like I'm obsessed, right? The narrative sounds like, oh, I am just enamored with this person's appearance, right? Which is when describing a character's appearance makes sense. In any sort of romance subtext, when a character recognizes another character's physical features, it is often to describe what about them they find attractive. And that's great. That's wonderful, right? But if you're not... Unless you're
or contrasting your own appearance against theirs. In your
Sure,
mind.
contrasting. My
I
wife is
know-
saying contrasting your own appearance against theirs. It's possible.
Like sometimes when introducing myself and my sister to a new person, I think about the fact that when I tell them we're sisters, and then chuckle to myself in my head. I know we don't look it. She's got
Yes.
brown hair, short, tan skin, brown eyes. I'm tall, blonde, fair skin.
I don't know if they can hear
blue
you, so I'm going to
eyes.
repeat what you've said.
Yes.
But in my own words, what she just said, there's some suggestions for how you can introduce character appearances if it matters that much to you. One of them is anything that is in regard to genetics. In the sense of, like, if there is a character in the room related to another character in the room, you can draw similarities and differences between them because it comes up in conversation. If one character is introducing, hey, these are my friends, meet this person, and he says in his dialogue, like, oh, you guys are sisters, I wouldn't have guessed, your hair's 2 different colors. And then you can narrate the hair color because it makes sense, and that's what they're talking about, and that's what they're thinking about, right? But, like, yeah, anyway. So apparently this is a pet peeve I have. Sam the Hat Guy said, wait, James, you're not gay? Shh. Anyway, wife. Okay. Hannah places a supportive hand on Opal's shoulder and gives her a slight smile. I'm sure you will be. See, that's the other thing, is that, like, taking an entire paragraph to just be like, by the way, this is what those characters look like, and then going back to the dialogue, I've forgotten what we were talking about. I have no idea. And my eyes have to go back previously to other lines on the page to remind myself of what we were talking about. Don't do that. Breaks the flow of the story. Unless there's a natural breaking point where it makes sense to take note of somebody's appearance, right? And if their appearance matters, right? When you're writing a script, making a comic, or shooting a film, that's when visual appearance of characters matter for differentiation of characters. In writing, however, you need their name, their gender, their species, right? You don't need to know the color of their hair in order to differentiate between different characters. If you want to drop information about character descriptions as a bonus for describing other things happening in the scene. For example, I'm writing a story right now, and a character has his hat on to block the blistering rays of sun coming down. The salty wind from the sea blows his blonde hair in a mess, and he fixes it with his hands. That's a smooth way to describe a character, and then you never have to draw attention to it again unless it ever becomes important. Okay. A teacher I don't recognize arrives and unlocks the portable. Okay, 1 second. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs, and I don't know the name of the main character. This is a sin. A teacher I don't recognize arrives and unlocks the portable. I'm still not entirely sure what this is, a portable. What's a portable? Is that like a... Portable means light and small enough to be easily carried or moved. I know that. Portable. I don't know. I even skimmed ahead just now. I don't know what a portable is. Anyway. We all file in and take out seats. And take our seats. That's okay. Simple mistake there. Hannah, Opal, and I sit at the back of the room. Opal to my right and Hannah to the right of her. Don't take 2 sentences of my time to tell me the orientation of their seating in the room. Do it in 1 sentence or don't do it at all. I don't expect anyone to take the seat to my left. Why? Why not? Why not? The desk is shorter than all the rest, and the chair has 1 leg shorter than the others. Oh, okay. Sorry. I got so mad before reading ahead. I make that mistake sometimes, as you've seen so far in this stream, where I'll be like, that doesn't make sense. And then I read 1 more sentence, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But to my dismay, someone does sit there. Kevin, my ex. We're still friends, but he takes every chance to make fun of me. Okay. Hey, shorty. I frowned. We're the same height. 5'10" was far from short. Just because you've been, like, taking the fact that the first thing I know about this main character is her height in feet and inches, that's a sin. Don't like it. It's fine to get that information, but that is so far down the list of the most important things I need to know about this character. I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her appearance except for her height in feet and inches now. I know nothing. Technically, I don't even know that it's a she. I'm just assuming. Yeah, I just scanned through. I don't even know the gender of the main character right now. She could be a he. Or a they. Or an alien. I don't even know. I don't know. He chuckles and elbows me playfully. You know I'm teasing. How's your summer? I guess I haven't talked to him since school started. He normally sits on the other side of the room with his girlfriend. Ooh. So then why has he come and sat here? I shrug. Fine. I was a counselor at a summer camp for most of it. It was pretty fun. I see you didn't get slaughtered. I frown again. Not that the thought didn't cross my mind constantly. I didn't need Kevin's horror-obsessed mouth saying my biggest fear of those 3 months. Right. Why aren't you sitting with Avery? He shrugs. We broke up over the weekend. And now I get the pleasure of his presence. Sorry. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. See, sometimes the questions that I ask get answered eventually anyway. All right, everyone, settle in. Let's get started. The teacher walks to the front of the class. She writes her name on the board. Hold on. Actually, small little note here. She wouldn't have done that before the class started. I'm Mrs. McDonald. Your teacher is out sick and I will be a substitute until she gets back. You may call me Mrs. M if you prefer. I do not answer to Mrs. McDouble, Mrs. Big Mac, or any other McDonald's foods. Yikes. Whoa. It's McDonald or just M. Her tone says she's been dealing with this for years. That actually is funny, and that does track for the mentality of this random character. So, good job there. But her expression is gentle. Yeah, change that to keep that one sentence. Now, she continues, I'd like you all to write about your ideal safe space. A place you feel relaxed. Be it real or in your own mind, I'd like you to imagine its smell, how it feels. Use your senses and write me a paragraph. Okay. That's fair. That's valid. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking that maybe she would have said something a little bit more like, or at least like in narration, the main character thinks to herself like, oh yeah, like, even with the substitute, I guess we still have to do the daily writing prompts at the beginning of class. Or something like that, that like feels like this is like normal. And if it's not normal, if this is abnormal, then, you know, say something about that in like the main character's thought process. Notice how I have to keep saying the main character because I don't know who she is. Sorry. Sorry. I'm being like really aggressive with my notes. Clanker's commenting the chat's quiet. It's okay. Whoever does show up, we'll have him here. That was such a baseless thing to say. I'm so sorry. I think my brain's just dying a little bit. Okay. I open my note and take a breath. I'm not much of a writer, more of an artist, but I give it my best attempt. The room is quiet for some time, then after about 10 minutes, whispers start. Okay, actually, hey, it was so smooth that I actually didn't even notice, I didn't even think to say anything about it until I already passed it. But when she says, I'm not much of a writer, more of an artist, that's a good way to tell us something about the character because it relates to what's happening in the scene. Good job. Now I know a little bit more about our artist main character who's 5'10". The room is quiet for some time. Then after about 10 minutes, whispers start. Then the slow escalation of a full-on chatter. The teacher sits at her desk reading a book. That's actually very relatable to how a classroom works. Well done. Well done using sensory details. Do you want to go to the cafe after school? Opal whispers to me. Ellie's is a local cafe where we go to hang out after school. That's a little repetitive. Hold on. Let me finish this paragraph before I decide how I would do that. It's a small town, so there aren't many places to go. There's Ellie's Cafe, Elma's Dinner. That says dinner, actually. That needs to be diner. And a couple of parks. We're, apostrophe there, too young to hang at the pub, so that's not an option. Well, yeah. Though I've heard that some kids hang in the back alley. Okay. This is okay. This is an okay info dump because it's a character's thought process about what's happening. I don't know if I would mention, like, okay, we got Elma's Diner and a couple of parks, and there's also a pub. Like, I don't know if I would think all of that right there. I think, let me backtrack a little bit. Do you want to go to the cafe after school? Opal whispers to me. I would personally move this. I would move this right there. I would just switch the order of these sentences. Do you want to go to the cafe after school? Oh, whoops, hold on, I did that wrong, actually. Do you want to go to the cafe after school? Opal whispers to me. It's a small town, so there aren't many places to go. Ellie's is a local cafe where we go to hang out after school. Now, the only thing here is that we have cafe and after school repeated like twice. So I would say Ellie's is a local spot where is a local hangout spot. That's what I would do. Wait, hold on. That's not right. Okay. Is a local... Why is it doing that? Oh, okay, sorry. I see. I'm stupid. Is a local... Oh my gosh, I can't highlight anything. Ah! Is a local hangout spot we frequent. There we go. That's where I would say, just because, and I'm gonna add the note here so that she knows why. Cafe and after school are repeated from the previous from previously in the paragraph. Okay. Do you want to go to the cafe after school? Opal whispers to me. It's a small town, so there aren't many places to go. Ellie's is a local hangout spot we frequent. And then personally, I was like, whoops. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to say, I don't really know if all this information is necessary, or at least not right here, right now, unless they become important soon. So honestly, I probably would just delete that whole thing, right? I don't need to know. Ellie's is a local hangout spot we frequent. There's Ellie's Cafe, Elma's Diner, and a couple of parks, and we're too young to hang at the pub. But I've heard that some kids hang in the back alley. All of that's good. I just don't know if it's necessary right now. I shake my head. I have my first time for a drink. Okay. I guess I'm a little congested. I shake my head. I have my first shift at my new job tonight. She pouts. Boo, that's no fun. I like this dialogue. This is good dialogue right here. At least one of us has a job. Kind of pips up. Is that supposed to be pips or pipes? I think it's supposed to be pipes up, but I'm not sure. Actually, I'm just going to highlight it and put pipes. Unless you meant pips. Unless you meant pips. Okay. Sorry, make that 2. I also have a job. I get it. Opal crosses her arms. You guys are both boring. I think the word you're looking for is responsible, Hannah corrects. Alright, class, time is up. Let's read your safe spaces. Okay. I do like this little exchange here between the friends. That's nice. We go around the room. I stare at my piece. I hadn't expected us to read out loud. I'd written about the waterfall my dad used to take me to, without including him in it, of course. Why, of course? My turn comes and I swallow. Damp dirt, blue grass that always smells of dew, bubbling water at the bottom of the cascade. The cliff above showers me in water, while the cave behind the falls hides me from all worries. Well, don't, Venus, the teacher gushes. What? What? What does that mean? Hold on. Let me read a little bit more and get some context clues. Well, don't, Venus, the teacher gushes. That was very well written. Kevin? Kevin reads his piece, but I tune him out. Okay. So what I think is happening here, what's happening here is that we finally got the name of our main character, and there's a typo here, because it's supposed to say, well done, Venus, the teacher gushes. That was very well written. Kevin. However, there's a couple of problems with this. One is substitute teacher. How does she know all of their names right away? Bruh? She didn't take roll call. She introduced herself and then said, start writing. Okay? So let's make an edit here. I think what you were trying to say was, well done, Venus. Which means this is the name of our main character. Okay, so I think her name is Venus. Teacher gushes. That was very well written. Kevin. And then here's an additional note. This is a substitute teacher, and she introduced herself, had them start writing, and neglected to do any sort of roll call. How does she know their names? On the spot. Okay. Kevin reads his piece, but I tune him out. I doodle in the margins, drawing a waterfall to match the words I've written. A voice cuts through the dull hum of voices. I don't think this needs to be a different paragraph, actually. I think that can probably just be the same paragraph. The noise I once hated, movements my body despises making. Everything crashes together into a ball of overwhelm. Then she approaches and it all melts away. Her smile, her laugh. The music is no longer deafening. My body no longer contorts in pain. Interesting. The room is silent for a moment. Very interesting, Derek. The teacher moves on without inquiring more. Oh, I thought it was Kevin. Okay, new character. Derek runs his hand through the hair on the top of his head, brushing it out of his face. I remember Derek. He used to be a smiley kid. We went to elementary school together. Then his little brother got leukemia, and I don't think he's smiled since. Aww. Well done, class. Mrs. M claps her hands together. According to your teacher's notes, we will be doing a writing exercise at the start of every class. Yeah, this is what I was asking earlier, and this might be good information earlier. Okay, I was wondering this earlier. You can keep it here, but consider moving this line of dialogue to the beginning of the class. Some I will have you read out loud, others I will not. Keep in mind that your journals will be graded, so please keep them school appropriate. A couple of guys groan and some girls giggle. The bell rings and I head off to my next class. Okay. Chapter 2 starts right there. Okay, I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna introduce you to something right here. You can insert a page break, and the new chapter starts there. So you can insert break. So you go to insert, then you go to break, then you choose page break to separate your chapters. In a cleaner way. Okay. Also, this is one sentence, and so is this. And there's no stylized reason to keep these two separate, so I would personally just put them in the same paragraph. And honestly, this whole thing can probably also just... Hold on. Let me undo this. I would say, okay, so this probably go there, and this can also probably go there. So I would just bring these two, both of these sentences as a part of the previous paragraph. They don't need to be separate. Maybe the last sentence where the bell rings and I head off to my next class. Okay, so just reading one chapter. Here are my notes. Okay, so formatting. Formatting, I'm going to give, again, it might have just been like, oh, I don't know how to page break and put a chapter on the next page, right? But, and I don't think I named this for this story. Yeah, because we didn't quite finish chapter 1, but I would have given the same piece of advice for this story too, actually. Yeah, so formatting was good. I will say that, yeah, no, I don't think there were any glaring problems with formatting. Genuinely just might not have known about the insert page thing. And also it's not like required if it's just a Google Doc. And I did have a note about the line spacing, but all of that is more just like editorial stuff and not about the technical writing. So I would give it 4 out of 5 stars, but honestly I might just still give it 5 stars because all of that stuff is kind of the menial small things. After formatting, we have sentence structure and flow. I only had like this right here. I really only had this part that I was like, or you know what, formatting? Because some paragraphs are like only one sentence or two, and you don't really need that. I'm gonna give formatting 4 out of 5 stars. You know, I gave the points that I would suggest adjustments on. And then this section right here, talking about the cafe, I will say that we got a little bit of tell there instead of show. Also, I don't know what the portable is. I still don't know what that is. Portable? Is that a vehicle? Is it a bus? A portable classroom? I think it's meant to be like a portable classroom. Yeah, if that's I'm gonna make a note here and just say like, I don't actually know what this is. Can I get, can we specify? Awesome. Okay. Okay, I liked this initial, yeah, I would say for format, sentence structure, and flow, there's definitely some info dump, some description dump, and some tell instead of showing. Not like an atrocious amount, just enough to make me like notice and be like, I would change some things here. So I'm going to give that also a 4 out of 5, because otherwise I didn't have many notes about that at all for the majority of what I read. Oh, another thing for format though. Format. This kind of goes into both format and sentence structure and flow. This chapter is really short. I mean, chapter length is really up to you, but not just in the word count, but also in what happens. Genuinely. And this is meant to be super constructive. This is not meant to tell you to stop writing. Obviously not. No. Like, Elizabeth is a great writer, and I've seen some of her more finished and refined works, and they're amazing. But I would say here, I have been given no reason to care about this story in the entire first chapter. And I need that reason within the first page, at least, if not the first paragraph or two. I need the reason to care. I don't know what the story is about at all. The title says Strings of Second Chances. So if I take a moment to convince myself to keep reading, if this was a book I picked up, I would have to take a moment to think, like, okay, where do I think the story is going? If it's called Strings of Second Chances, maybe she's getting a second chance with her ex who broke up with his old girlfriend. But like, if that's the case, like, I don't know anything else about this story. There's some kids in high school, and there's no conflict. I don't know anything about this in chapter 1. There's no conflict, there's nothing particularly interesting happening. It looks like it's just a completely mundane day at school, and I'm like, where's this gonna go? Within the first chapter, you need to give me a reason why this story is unique and why I should invest myself in continuing to read it. So, as far as story content, for what it is, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. But I don't have a hook. I don't really have a hook. And I would say that okay, so for what the story content is, it's not bad. But I don't have a reason to be invested, right? So I would say that, like, I would not bring this down to a 3 out of 5 stars. I think it's still a 4 out of 5 stars, because if your assignment was to write a mundane day of school, then you did that, and you did it well. It's fine. The actual writing is fine. But that's not a story that I'm going to get invested in, and I need a reason within the first chapter. And if this is how short the chapter is, then I would reconsider where your chapter cutoff is, because by the end of the first chapter, I should have a reason to keep reading. So as far as story content, I'm also taking away a star there, just because it's not particularly interesting, in the sense of, like, it's just a class period. That's all that happened. I don't know anything about the main character. I learned her name in, like, the last few paragraphs of the first chapter, and I don't know anything about her. She's 5'10", she's more of an artist than a writer, and her name is Venus. But that was the last thing out of those 3 things that I learned. So I'm just like, I have zero attachment. And that is a reason why, add that to the reasons why I personally don't think that first person point of view is that great of a writing tool. If that's how you write best, sure, write it in first person. And if you want to put in the work to, like, go back and put and transfer it into third person, you could do that too. But, like, readers will be more. Readers will relate to a character in third person more than a character in first person. Like, and it's not saying that they can't with first person, it's just, I'm saying that it is more likely for them to relate to a character who's written in third person than in first person. Especially if we don't learn the name of the character, we don't know anything about them for, like, the entire first chapter. I know nothing, right? And then what was the 4th category? The 4th category is oh my gosh. It was, I totally skipped spelling, grammar, and punctuation. There were just some typos that I saw, and nothing that was repetitive, so, I don't feel the need to take a star away there. 5 out of 5. You know how to speak English. So I would say overall, I might give this a similar rating to the previous story, but for entirely different reasons. So I'd probably give it, like, honestly, okay, hear me out. No, a 6 out of 10 feels cruel. That doesn't, I don't know. No, it's not a 6 out of 10. I would say a 7 out of 10 for different reasons than the last story. A 7 out of 10, the most glaring thing is that I know nothing about the main character and the story is not interesting in the first chapter. If it's just a slice of life high school book, or even if it's a romance, you gotta at least like advertise it as that, so I know that there's something to look forward to, right? But yeah, I would say 7 out of 10 because the writing is fine, right? It's written well. It's just not particularly attention grabbing. So, yeah. I hope that the critiques did not seem too harsh. Elizabeth is a wonderful sport when it comes to me critiquing her works. But let's catch up with the chat real quick. I'm so sorry, guys. I haven't actually been reading very consistently. When Clanker asked, am I the only one here? Are the chats quiet? Sam said, nah, I'm still here, just waiting for a chance to make fun of James. Oh, he can't ban me for, oh, that's funny. Let's see, scrolling through the chat. Having an entirely different conversation, which is fine, For your last edit, after the story writing, can you edit my riffs since technically it's still writing? If you could do it after all the other stories, if you have time. James, you still going live tomorrow? Clinker asked. I don't go live on Saturdays, and I think you asked me this last time. I go live on Fridays, so Friday nights is when I do go live. Oh, yes, okay, Clanker is asking about... Yeah, so every Friday night, it's a different live stream that I do. Last live stream was our game night. Tonight is our writing night. The live stream before the game night was my music night, mostly. I played some guitar, we did some karaoke, and then we ended with one game, I think. I don't remember. And the one after that was just kind of like a welcome back stream. Hoping to do an art stream soon. That will be fun. But yeah, we can still play games on like the tail end of different streams. However, this stream has gone on for 2 hours, so we're probably gonna close it up soon. But I want to say thank you to everybody who submitted their stories for me to read and edit. Thank you so much. I hope that my constructive suggestions and criticisms are helpful and inspire you to write more, because they're not meant to do the opposite. I'm never gonna look at something and be like, bruh, just stop trying. No, obviously not. I'm never gonna say, bruh, don't quit your day job or something like that. Like I've been told that by people more times than I care to count, and it's very damaging to hear things like that. I had just started learning piano, and an extended family member said, like, as I was playing and I was practicing this song that I didn't know, and I just started playing piano by myself, he said, don't quit your day job, as he walked past. And that hurts. That hurts when people discourage you, because how else are you supposed to learn anything? You gotta start out when it sounds bad, or it reads bad, or it looks bad. You have to start out like that. How else are you supposed to do it? So, I mean, now I'm way more confident in my piano skills. I played piano at my wedding, and this specific extended relative of mine was there at the wedding. I haven't asked him what he thought about my piano, but everybody gave compliments about it. I worked on it really hard. It was a medley of 2 songs. I've talked about it before in a previous stream. And I'm proud of where I am, right? But it doesn't feel nice for anybody to tell you, bro, you're just not good at this, right? And I'm never going to look somebody in the eye and tell them, you're bad at this or something. Because that's not the point. The point is you're starting. You're starting and you have room to grow. And that's a wonderful adventure to embark on. And so, I mean, oh gosh, I mean, let's go back and look at my writing when I started. Yikes. Oh, I'm just glad that that we don't that we aren't looking at that. But I realized that I haven't been paying as much attention to the short chat. I'm so sorry. Piano James was asking how I was doing. I'm doing great, and I hope you're doing good too. I'm so sorry that I have been behind. That is my fault. My bad. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for being here. I think this is where we can switch over back to our big desktop format. Sam the Hat Guy is imploring me that I don't explode on August 12th, and I don't know what I'd be exploding about. So, I'll acknowledge that it was said, and then I'll move on. um, But yeah, thank you everybody so much for being here. I hope you guys have enjoyed being on stream tonight. If any of you have any stories that you want to share or submit, you can send them to my email, which is linked on all my socials. You can follow the link in the description for our Discord server, which is where you can also get in contact with me and send me stories you would like me to review, suggest, and edit. I love doing this and I love helping you guys out, and just being here to inspire more people to unleash their creativity and be comfortable trying new things and spreading their wings. That's what we need to be doing. That's how the world becomes a better place. And as I always say, the world is a better place with you in it, you specifically. So thank you very much for being here. I love you all. Shout out to everybody who came into the chat, especially our Discord members, who will be earning points for attending the live stream today for this month. Thank you everybody for being here. I love you all. The world genuinely is a better place with you in it. Eat your banana pancakes, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.